This year, XRP and Ripple have been making serious waves, sparking some wild price predictions. And honestly, I feel the need to address it. Why? First, I don't want anyone getting overly hyped based on unrealistic expectations. Second, I want to remind you to take profits when you can. You've been patient, you've stuck it out, and you deserve to reward yourself for being part of this exciting journey. So welcome to the channel, everyone. If you're new here, stick around. By the end of this video, you might just become a subscriber. Today, I'm diving into one of the craziest XRP price predictions for this cycle. But more importantly, I'll share my thoughts on how I'm handling my own XRP holdings. Before that, let's look at what's been happening lately, because 2025 isn't even halfway through, and it's already been a massive year for XRP and Ripple. One major milestone, the launch of ROUSD. This was, and still is, a big deal, grabbing headlines and staying in the spotlight. Ripple has been making waves, and one of the standout moves was their partnership with Ondo. This collaboration is driving the Wall Street to vision, with XRP Ledger playing a key role alongside OUSG, one of Ondo's tokenized US Treasury products. And here's the kicker. This ties back to none other than BlackRock. Talk about a power move. It was undoubtedly one of the most significant announcements we saw earlier this year in January. But that's not all. Ripple custody is gaining traction with more banks jumping on board. Why is this so important? Because custody is the gateway to everything else, whether it's stablecoin projects, tokenization efforts, or even DeFi ventures. Custody is where it all begins. The fact that banks are embracing Ripple custody signals something big. They're gearing up to offer a whole new range of services. 2025 has become the year where major banks are finally stepping into the crypto spotlight. With the FDIC, OCC, and even the Federal Reserve giving the green light, banks are now openly embracing crypto for payments in a big way. It's no longer whispers behind closed doors. Big players are making bold moves, and the shift is impossible to ignore. Adding fuel to the fire, Ripple shook things up in February by partnering with BDAX to supercharge institutional crypto custody in South Korea. Using Ripple custody, BDAX Korea now provides secure infrastructure for XRP, Rupee, and other digital assets, paving the way for institutional adoption, developer innovation on the XRP ledger, and aligning with South Korea's evolving regulations. It's a huge leap forward, spotlighting XRP and XRPL as key players in scaling crypto use cases and driving growth across the board. Back in March, Ripple took a big step forward in driving crypto adoption across Europe. How? By launching Ripple payments in Portugal through a partnership with Unicambio. This marks a major leap in modernizing cross-border payments, delivering secure, transparent, and real-time transactions. It's a game changer, especially as the EU embraces digital assets and blockchain technology. Now, some skeptics might say Ripple payments doesn't directly impact XRP, but here's the catch. Even if stablecoins or other payment methods are involved, Ripple insiders have consistently emphasized how they push volume through the XRP ledger, XRPL, and XRP itself due to its unmatched efficiency. Sure, there are regulatory hurdles to clear, but the potential here is undeniably exciting. And that's not all Ripple achieved in March. They also secured regulatory approval from the Dubai Financial Services Authority, becoming the first blockchain payments provider licensed in the DFC. The spotlight remains on the cross-border payments market, a space where XRP, the XRPL, and Ripple continue to shine. Momentum is building, and for good reason. The big news, the SEC case is essentially over. The SEC decided to drop its appeal without conditions, while Ripple agreed to drop its cross appeal and pay the $50 million 0 cents fine. While a few formalities remain, the battle is effectively wrapped up. A massive win for XRP, the community, and Ripple itself. This news sent excitement rippling through the community, as evident in the engagement and sheer buzz it created. But the story didn't end there. In early April, Ripple dropped another bombshell. The $1,250 million 0 cents acquisition of Hidden Road. Why is this so significant? Hidden Road clears a staggering $3 trillion 0 cents annually for over 300 of the world's top financial institutions. This move further strengthens XRP's position and broadens Ripple's reach in the global financial ecosystem. This new capital is set to leverage XRP and the XRP ledger's innovative value transfer capabilities, straight from Brad Garlinghouse himself. What's exciting is the massive momentum building behind XRP. with Ripple rapidly expanding through bold initiatives as the market continues to evolve and open new doors. Recently, we've seen real-world asset EUR value making its way onto the XRP ledger through platforms like Arcix, OpenEden, and ROUSD. To put it in perspective, over $114 million 0 cents is already tied to RWAs, while the stablecoin market cap has surged beyond $144 million 0 cents. Big things are happening, and XRP is at the heart of it all. And this is incredibly exciting to see because it not only highlights the massive market potential for XRP and its rapid rise in the tokenization space, but it also showcases unstoppable growth. Since as far back as 2020, despite facing major hurdles like the SEC lawsuit, delistings, and other challenges, we've proven time and time again that nothing can hold us back. XRP has continued to grow, evolve, and cement itself as a significant asset in the crypto world, while Ripple has also scaled into an even more influential company. Through every obstacle, we've pushed forward, expanding and building toward what we are today. And you might ask, what are we today? A $2 0 cents cryptocurrency? Sure, but don't mistake that for stagnation. This is just the beginning of something much bigger. XRP's performance this cycle has been nothing short of remarkable. Seriously, it's turning heads everywhere. The buzz around XRP hitting wild price targets has exploded, and honestly, it's easy to see why. It all kicked off with the Sistine Research announcement on the 22nd. I covered this in a video diving into their $37 0 cents to $50 0 cents prediction, but then they doubled down with an updated target, $33 0 cents to $50 0 cents. Now, here's the kicker. Doesn't that feel a little conservative? It makes my personal prediction of $7 0 cents to $10 0 cents this cycle seem almost laughable by comparison. But here's where it gets interesting. XRP is following a pattern eerily similar to 2017, only way bigger. If you measure it as a cup and handle formation, the targets could soar to an eye-popping $77 0 cents to $100 0 cents. Wow. Check out that TA they're showing. Straight shot from $33 0 cents to $50 0 cents. Looks solid, right? But here's the thing. This is exactly why I take price predictions with a massive grain of salt. Sure, predictions are everywhere. Take this one. Crypto Analyst says XRP is mimicking the 2017 cycle. $27 0 cents, then $120 0 cents. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? But here's my issue with posts like these. They throw out big numbers like $100 0 cents XRP will happen this cycle. Spoiler alert, it won't. Why? Because we're not in a utility-driven market yet. We're still riding the waves of Bitcoin cycles where hype and speculation rule the game. Remember that before getting carried away. While we're starting to see more focus on utility, there's still a bit of ground to cover before those price levels truly hit. That's why my price prediction for XRP remains fairly cautious, even though I'm looking at a range of $5 0 cents to $10 0 cents or $7 0 cents to $10 0 cents. Anywhere in that ballpark feels like a safe bet. Here's the interesting part. XRP's overall chart is still looking incredibly bullish on the monthly time frame. Let's clear some noise from the chart and zoom in right now. We've established support around the previous highs from 2021, as well as the peaks from 2017 and 2018. What used to be resistance is now solid support, a huge shift in momentum. Sure, XRP's price has seen significant gains lately, but are we replaying the 2017 bull run? At the moment, we're in a sideways chop phase, the kind where the market stalls for months, building anticipation for the next big move. If we look at history, this kind of consolidation took about 214 days before XRP made its next explosive leap. Right now, we're waiting for that catalyst, but the setup is already in play. If we take a closer look, we've got two potential starting points to predict XRP's next big move. Option one, kick things off around June for the next major price action. Option two, use this specific candle and aim for July. That feels like a reasonable call. Now, comparing past cycles, it's not an exact match. Sure, we saw a peak during the 2013-2014 cycle, followed by a long stretch of sideways action until 2016-2017. Then came the explosive rally. Back then, the big surge kicked off in early March and ran straight through May. Could history rhyme again? Let's see. This is a solid time frame for a major move, spanning around 3 months of price action. However, the momentum isn't as explosive or bullish as some might hope in terms of big impulse moves, but Let's cut XRP some slack here. After all, we're talking about starting from fractions of a penny and climbing to around 40 cents. That's significant progress in itself. Remember the leap from roughly 50 cents to $3.40? That was no small feat. It was a massive move. Now, looking at the next candle, we could even measure from the lows. And guess what? That marked an insane 2,400% plus surge. The total move was around 1546%. A massive surge to the upside. If we were to see a repeat of that, let's say 15% instead, we'd be looking at XRP hitting $26.00 or even $27.00. Could it happen? Absolutely. It wouldn't be shocking, though it would still be wild to witness. Many of us would see life-changing gains, no doubt. That said, I'm approaching this with a sense of realism. Given how high XRP already is in value and its current trading price, I'm leaning toward diminished returns this time around. Even if we hit just half that move, say 720%, we're talking about XRP reaching $13.50. Honestly, that's still an excellent price prediction and one I'd be thrilled to see. In my opinion, this is a pretty safe area overall, but let's be real. Claims like XRP hitting $77.00 or $100.00, that's not realistic or conservative, no matter how they spin it. Honestly, it feels a bit over the top. I get the impression this account is more focused on hyping up their Sistine AI product than providing grounded predictions. It's all about driving clicks and engagement, which is why they're throwing out these flashy numbers. It's the same tactic we've seen before. Remember back in 2021, analysts were making wild predictions left and right. Some would slap a bar graph onto a chart, overlay some data, and declare, all right, $75.00 for XRP is next. It's just a way to grab attention, and while it might work for them, it's not exactly helpful if you're looking for reliable insights. Let's stay grounded and keep a critical eye on these types of plays. It feels like the same thing is happening here again. Why not, instead of just saying, oh, $77.00 to $100.00 is conservative, go all out and toss in a wild bar graph claiming XRP will hit $469.00 by May 2026. Seriously, why not? It's the same thing. Zero thought process behind it. There's no foundation here, no real analysis. Now, take Credo Crypto's approach, predicting a $20.00 to $30.00 XRP. That makes sense because it's built on the Elliott wave theory, a tried and true strategy used for decades to predict market crashes and bull runs, even in the stock market. It's not just numbers pulled out of thin air. So when it comes to XRP's future, I'm sticking with a more grounded perspective, especially compared to those outlandish predictions. But why? Because we've seen cycle after cycle of hype and disappointment. Look at the SEC lawsuit, for example. So many believed XRP should have hit $10.00 long ago, but reality doesn't work that way. And that's why I'm staying cautious. Do I believe XRP should have hit $10.00? Absolutely. Now that the SEC case is behind us, we're seeing massive momentum building around XRP and Ripple. This feels like the perfect time to start eyeing those price targets and asking the big question, could it really happen? I think it can. I'm talking ranges like $13.50 to $26.80. That's undeniably bullish, which is why I'm still advocating for it's smart to lock in some profits at the lower targets to make sure we're rewarding ourselves along the way. Personally, my plan is simple. When we hit around $5.00, let's just say $5.00, I'll start taking action and securing gains. It's all about being prepared to maximize opportunities while staying grounded. All right, here's the plan. I'm going to start taking some initial profits as we climb towards these targets if we hit them. The strategy, gradual profit taking while still keeping a solid portion of my bag intact. Around 25%, maybe even up to 35% of my XRP stash will remain locked away untouched. That's my long-term hold, my non-negotiable. I've been open about this. I've got a significant amount of XRP. My accumulation journey began back in 2020. I was there for the wild price swings during COVID and even rode through the SEC lawsuit turbulence. Back then, I wasn't creating content or even active on X, formerly Twitter, until roughly summer 2020. It's been a journey, and trust me, I'm in it for the long haul. I didn't start creating content on YouTube until 2021, but during that time, I was steadily building my XRP stack. Honestly, anything under 50 cents felt like a golden opportunity to accumulate. Sub 50, a no-brainer. That's why I see $5.00 as my sweet spot for taking profits. It's well over a 10x return on some of my early buys and still a solid 10x for my purchases during the volatile years of 2022 to 2024. Here's the thing though, don't get caught up in wild price predictions. You don't even have to take my word for it. Seriously, don't. Create your own plan, stick to it, and make decisions that align with your goals. I believe everyone should follow their own path and make decisions that truly align with their goals. Honestly, we need to steer clear of these wild, baseless price targets that seem to come out of nowhere. They're just throwing numbers around, claiming we're replicating the same moves, but it's not even close. It's like they're trying to force patterns where they don't exist. I mean, take XRP, for example. Right now, it's just moving sideways, nothing groundbreaking, but then they pull up an old chart and say, see, this current chop is exactly like that one. Let's be real. It isn't even remotely similar. We need to think critically instead of chasing these far-fetched comparisons. Maybe I'm off, but this doesn't even seem close to that. Honestly, the current trading level feels way more similar to this price range instead. Now, towards the end of that range, like I mentioned, we saw a solid move of around 75%. That's why I'm keeping it conservative here. If we go full on bullish and see a comparable rally hitting somewhere between $13.50 and $26.80 is totally on the table. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more free content. Thanks for watching. Peace out.